Hello, and welcome to my thoughts while standing in the queue. Jacob Rees-Mogg wears double-breasted pajamas. They went out of style in the 70s. My friend Ronald doesn't wear any pajamas at all. That went out of style when he was 40. My buddy Peter wears Penguin Originals because that's what he is. The pajamas I wear have evolved much as I have. When I was young, my mother selected nightwear, so it said more about her laundry preferences than my personality. However, once I grew old enough to select my nighttime decor, you could tell more about me when I pulled up the covers than when I emerged from my front door. When I was in university, I wanted to be adorable. One look in the mirror convinced me that I was no bombshell, and a glance at my academic record convinced me that I was no intellectual. So it was that my retirement garb was a pair of baby blue drop-seat pajamas with a lace collar. I believed it set just the right tone. When the drop seat was closed, I looked like a cute, cuddly co-ed, and when the drop seat was down for functional purposes, I was warm and cozy despite the sub-zero temperature of the toilets in my sorority house. The girls I lived with paid very little attention to my sleepwear, since few of them actually saw it. After all, you put on your pajamas and then you went to bed, didn't you? However, one dark, blustery winter night, a group of freshman girls decided to kidnap me without warning. Naturally, had I known they were going to take me away from my own bed, I would have decked myself out in something more presentable and sophisticated instead of wearing the adult version of Dr. Denton's. They bundled me up in a storm coat, stadium boots, and several scarves and tied me to a tree outside the ZBT house. That particular fraternity house had at least a half dozen young men I wanted to interest, and I knew that one look at me in my flannel baby blues would squelch any romantic notion that anyone might entertain. The sad truth was that when I was rescued from the tree and the young men there saw what I wore between the covers, they decided that was the one place they would never join me. Gaining entry through a drop seat was frowned upon in the 50s. It was when I graduated from that university that I figured out that it was the men who got all the good jobs and the high salaries, not the women. I saw other female graduates actually relieved and indeed eager to become stay-at-home housewives because that was the most secure option for young women. Older women had no options whatsoever in the 50s. It was a jungle in that commercial world then. Accordingly, I changed my bedtime style and switched to red and white striped pajamas that were a direct copy of prison uniforms at the time and symbolized what the world felt like to me. And then I married. I don't want to discuss the bedtime styles I adopted at that time because they did me absolutely no good. The goal was to wear something so provocative that it was removed the minute my spouse joined me under the covers. The idea was to manage to have a baby before the year ended so that your union was locked in. In my case, my husband was desperately nearsighted, and Cambridge, Massachusetts was abysmally cold. Whatever I wore in bed stayed on, and it was usually layer after layer of flannel and wool, replete with a cap and heavy knitted socks. I didn't get pregnant. I did, however, get a severe case of frostbite. Well, I've lived through 5 decades since my 20s, and I am well on my way to the 6th. I know now what the world is about and what battles women must fight, and I am ready for them. My nighttime attire these days is a t-shirt that says, in red of course, I am a bitch with style. And that is exactly what I am. And thank you so much for joining me for my thoughts while standing in the queue.